Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to the Big Chat with myself, SK Pasha. It was 10 minutes after 1 o'clock. An absolute pleasure to have another superstar in his own right in our platform. I mean, what an absolute gem of a human being this guy is. Well, they normally say you don't play for Kaizer Chiefs if you're not talented. He has. You don't play for the national team if you're not a good player. Well, he has. Well, you don't actually win the football of the season when you're not a good player. He has won it. You don't play in Turkey if you're not a good player. Well, he's played in Turkey. What an absolute peach of an honor it is to have Lebogang, Kaka, Manyama live in studio finally. We had a chat with him briefly last year, telephonically rather, that is, and it wasn't as crisp as it is going to be this afternoon. Lebogang, Kaka, Manyama, what an absolute pleasure it is to have you here. Very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to the listeners. Good afternoon to you guys. Karabo, thanks for having me. Firstly, a huge congrats on what you've set up here. Super proud of you. I think I've known you my whole career, you know, where you started to where you are right now. It's also an honor for me to be here, to be gracing your stage finally, like you said. But yeah, I mean, an honor to be here, and we finally do it, and yeah, let's have some fun.
Well, absolutely. And I've also been told that you're one of the few players that are absolutely honest. So I think your answers are going to be absolutely honest. We're going to ask about what happens in camp, match days, what the coaches say and so forth. But Lebu, I think we have to start from the start. Lebogang Kaka Manyama, in simple terms, who exactly is Lebogang Manyama?
Lebogang Manyama is a boy who was born on the 13th of September 1990 in Tembisa Hospital. Obviously my grand used to live there. Our family house is there. My parents grew up there, but obviously my parents grew up. My mom met my dad in Alex somewhere in Alex, and obviously we had to move to Alex, you know. So most of my childhood I spent in Alex, you know, not so much in Tembisa, but I was born in Tembisa. But everything about me is more Alex. But obviously Tembisa will always be a part of me because my grand is still there. And I have a lot of childhood friends. And obviously I've met some fantastic footballers and people from Tembisa. So it's always been a part of me and it always will be. But I'm just a township boy that once had a dream and is still chasing it, I think.
Well, absolutely still chasing it. And also very well spoken, that is Lebogang Manyama. I think that is in inverted commas foreign, you know, for footballers. But goodness me, I think it tells us about the school that you went to, Lebogang.
Started primary school obviously in Alex, the school called Bovet Primary, because it's a school that caters for Tsonga and vendors, you know. Not so many people know, but I'm a vendor guy. I'm vendor actually, you know. So my dad is vendor. My whole side of my family, dad's family is vendor. So I fluently. Then I went to high school in Northview. Not so much on the talking on how I speak right now, but I learned that along the way, you know, because I'm a very fast learner, you know. So I always open my ears to hear what I can learn every time when somebody speaks, and I think that's how I got better at talking. And obviously the game also teaches you how to talk. The more you grow, the more you become a leader, as I believe I once was, you know, as a player. So immediately you have to start doing the talking sometimes. And then obviously extending to coaching, now you have to do more talking and screaming. But yeah, it's just getting used to that. But it's something that has gone, I think, with my life and my career hand in hand in terms of the roles I've had to take in the teams I've played in the places that I've been, with that stuff that I also do off the field. I'll have to talk a lot, you know, so I have to try and make sure people understand me with different languages also. So I try to learn every time and to be better at all situations that I'm faced in, because at the end of the day, we are a diverse country and you have to adjust everywhere you go.
Well, absolutely. That is the voice of Lebogang Kaka Manyama, currently the Cape Town City assistant coach as well, looking to full-time one day, I wouldn't say take over at the club, but obviously be a head coach. Lebogang Manyama, now going to the infant stages of your career, take us through how you fell in love with the game, or did the game fall in love with you? Just take us through, I know Ajax FC, that's where you started, well, you know, semi-professional as well. That's where Ajax Cape Town came calling, or, you know, you were taken to Ajax, but just take us through your young football journey before getting to Ajax FC.
You know, growing up, you know, we had so much football in Ajax that you could play. I played for Balfour Park and I also played for teams in Ajax at the same time. You know, I don't know how I did it, but I played football for in Alex on Saturdays and Sundays. I would play at Balfour, so football was just that for me. But yeah, I played for Balfour for quite a while until I was around about 15, 16. But obviously, I'm not going to name all the teams I played for in Alex because there are quite a lot. We used to move around a lot because there was a lot of us with a lot of quality, the likes of Mpoma Kola, Joseph Molongane, Patrick Pungwayo, Lebu Piri was a bit younger, but his older brother, Katleho Piri, was also
Skates.
top footballer. Skates, very well.
Left-footed.
Yeah. So we had a lot of players in our generation that were so good. We ended up at one team called Sheffield, and we all played together,
Yeah.
Surprisingly, everybody was in that team, and everybody went on to have good careers. But yeah, it's basically been that for me. Never really been in a development side in terms of Chiefs, Pirates, Supersport, Ajax at that age, because I was academically I was very good also,
Yeah.
but football was just something else for me,
Yeah.
it was just something else. And as you mentioned LXFC, for me to go to LXFC, I had to make a choice, and I had to sit down with my mom and my dad. They wanted education. For me, obviously, that's always the best way because you have to be educated. But at the same time, I loved football. I couldn't imagine myself not playing football at the level that I wanted to play. And I hope I reached it. But I think for me, it was just there and then that I made a decision. Like you say, Ajax came calling when I was at LXFC. At that moment, that's when I chose football. And I was quite lucky, and I was quite lucky as to how it happened because it happened so quick. And I felt like it was just before the World Cup. It was the right moment, because I feel like after the World Cup, our football took a step in a big direction that I think we kind of wasted, because that opened the door for us.
Sorry to interject you. You speak about making a decision, you're speaking to your parents. What did you say to them, and what exactly how did they receive the news in regards to you choosing football over education, tertiary education?
To be quite honest, I'd be lying if I said I remember what I said to them, because at that age, there is no way you're telling your parents, I want to play football, I'm not going to go to school, That's why I say it came at the right time, because when I was at LXFC, luckily I met my money Alfred Peary, who for me is probably half of what I am today, And when I met him, he had a connection at Ajax, and I think everything worked so quickly that the conversation between my parents and I became so short. That when I said I'm going to Cape Town, it was kind of a surprise because it was my money he knew this for quite a while, but he only told me when there was 1 week left, and that taught me also something that you got to be prepared for any moment in life.
What emotions in your eye when you speak about, that moment the week before Lebza? I think that's something that I haven't really seen in you. Well, I don't see you as much as I would have liked, but why so much emotion when you speak about your parents, Ajax Cape Town, 1 week, my money Piri?
Because obviously my money gives me the opportunity, and then 2 years down the line when I'm at Ajax, I lose my parents. So he basically becomes my dad and my mom at the same time. Of course, I've got relatives, I've got my aunts who were proper for me. My grannies were proper for me. My sisters were amazing. They still are for me. My brothers are always there. But I felt like my money is the one person that came through for me and let me deal with that moment. Because it was a crucial moment where I lost my parents in 2011 and 2012. And at that moment, had he not been there, him and Caesar Mapala, actually, and a little bit of Coach Pito Musimani, because it was LXFC was his team. Actually, he had most of the shares in the team, so we trained under him a lot, so he also played a huge part in my development at that time. And obviously, even when I lost my parents, he was there, but my money for me was the one person that allowed me to deal with that situation the way I wanted, to grieve and mourn my parents the way I wanted, because it was kind of tough, and I was 20-year-old that loses both parents within a space of a year. You don't know what's going to happen. You're in Cape Town. I got my family here. I got my grannies back in the north. I got my grannies in Tembisa, so it was all a bit chaotic. And then I'm still starting a career. Luckily, I'm in a good team with a lot of youngsters that understand my situation, that are far from home also, because it was my first time also leaving my parents when I went to Ajax. So I draw a bit of emotion when I talk about my Imani, because I'm so grateful for the life that he gave me and the opportunity and so much that he's done for the community. And he doesn't get the recognition, really. He doesn't like it, but he deserves, I think, every little bit of gratitude that I can give him, I think belongs to him. And I think that's why I'm where I am even today, you know, just so there can be another Lebogang Manyama, or even better, actually.
Yeah. And when you speak about that as well, you know, I think we know the type of talented footballer he was. My man, he left-footed, one of the best passers, you know, arguably in South Africa. He has done quite a lot for himself. But the relationship that you have now with him is probably one of the best or closest ever. What role is he playing now post your career as a footballer?
Right now, I think he's just mentoring me to become the guy that he became when he retired. I think what he became for the what he became for the community was second to none. You know, it's not only the tournaments and the football that has to be played. It's what he does even for the centers, with his kids, with his old people, with his girls that need sanitary pads, with his high schools that need tournaments. He's there. You understand? So I think right now he's now playing the role of molding me into that kind of person for the community. And that's why you see a lot of me doing more of the groundwork, being at the community, helping the kids. I just came from a football match now with 40 footballers from Alexandria, you know, and I do that on a daily. It's off season, but we train 3 times a week, because for me the football doesn't stop, you know. So I try to do that, and I think he's just directing me in that sense. But if you want to ask me what he's been through and through, I think he's been my biggest critic. I've never been good enough for him, and I think that made me the footballer that I was, because this oak was never pleased. He was never pleased. Even when I won footballer of the season, he was like, yeah, it was a fluke because there was no one else, but oh, well, we'll give it to you. You know, he's that kind of guy. But obviously our relationship, I understand very well what he means. He simply means that if you're a player of the season this year, there has to be a step above that. You have to be thinking more than football of the season. Now, what's next, you know? And I feel that is what I try to inject now in the new generation, that, okay, you've signed for Chiefs. What next? Are you thinking Bournemouth? Are you thinking Tottenham? Are you thinking somewhere in Belgium? Or are you fine at Chiefs? And of course, playing the derby is a dream. Of course, you want to play against the Sundowns at the moment. You understand? You want to make your name at Kaizer Chiefs. But do you think of more than Pirates? Do you think more than Sundowns? Because the world is, for me, there's no limit. You know, and we got so many young players that need to understand that it goes beyond Sundowns, Chiefs and Pirates. Yes, we want to be there. We've got dreams because these are the teams we followed, but you got to be thinking more than that. If you are at Pirates now, you got to be thinking, from here, I got to make a step and go play the Europa League, the Champions League. That's the mentality we need to instill. But you see it with us, we get instilled with that mentality at the age of 23. It's too late for me. You know, started at 16. Started injecting people at 16 that they are professionals at 16. I mean, the kid from Barcelona said yesterday he has to do homework and he's playing Euro. What more does it say to us?
Absolutely.
And they're not as half as good as we are technically, but they train. They work on it every day. So for them, football is, yes, school is very important. That's why he's doing it when he's at the Euro still.
Yeah.
But they make sure that the minutes they put into the game is second to none. And I think we need to prioritize that message to the kids, that let football, if you're doing it, do it fully. And if you're not doing it, then just don't do it.
Absolutely. We are in conversation with Lebogang Manyama. What an absolute pleasure it is, you know, to finally have him here live in studios, 23 minutes after 1 o'clock. Lebogang, back to you now, your career. Signing for Ajax Cape Town, everything happened so quick. You now move to Cape Town. Take me through the challenges that you know, are faced with at that early age, you know, first time moving out of Alex, you know, also different culture, different tradition as well. You're still young. I think you were 18, 19 at the time. Tell me about your challenges when you signed for Ajax Cape Town and trying to adapt there.
The biggest reality that I got when I got there, to be quite honest with you, and most people will probably laugh at this, the Oaks were so good. The quality in that team, Karabo, was something else. So when we came in, it was me. The first day I remember when we got to a guest house, it was actually my first time at a guest house. So I felt like, you know, they're bringing food for us, the sheets are white. It was me, Tato Mukeke. Me and Tato had played against each other for quite a while when we were young, so we knew each other a bit. It was Kama Billiard. It was Paul Rusike. And then it was myself. I think we were 5.
Yeah.
If I'm not. Oh, it was Cecil Lolo, the late Cecil Lolo.
Yes, the right back.
The right back.
Yeah.
We were all on trial. And then a few streets away, there's a house. There's Thulani Hlajwayo. There's Thulani Serero, there's George Maluleka in that house. There's Amigo Memela. There's a guy called Achford Gutu, one of the best Zimbabwean footballers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy called Suma Siduba, one of the most talented Guinean players I've ever seen also, you know. He played in the Europa. They played Man United a few years ago. He gave Man United problems. We used to play with him, you know. The biggest shock there is when you come from the wood, I was like top notch, Go Alexander, you know, still am. And from a young age, I got to the papers, Go Alex, when I was 13. I was in the papers. Everybody was talking about me then, you understand? So I was not a hot shot, but the confidence in me with the confidence of my community also in terms of the footballer that I thought I was good enough. And then when I got there, I met a guy like Thulani. I was like...
Serero.
I was like...
Unbelievable, eh?
Unbelievable. And then I saw Kama for the first time. Different. And then you meet guys like Tato, like Samir Duti, Dalen Klassen. You know, the quality in that team was scary.
Yeah.
You know, the Amigo Memelas, you know, one of the most underrated footballers I've ever seen in this country. I don't know how people...
But what does that do to you, Lebogang? You are... You know, this is one of the most talented.
This is where I'm going, Karabo.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't have a development of Supersport. I don't have a development of Ajax. What do I do? And my biggest thing, and that's one thing I think that helped me a lot. And I think the guys that were there, your Georges, your Thulani will tell you. And I sat and I watched Thulani. That's what I did.
Simple as that.
Yeah, everyday training. Sweat, watch Thulani. Every game, watch Thulani. Coach's message was to me, you are new, you not ready yet, but you want to be ready in 2 years. And right now, you want to share a position with Thulani. You know, and that moment for me, I think, was one moment that changed a part of my career. You know, that what do I do now? Do I now prove to coach that I'm better than Thulani? At that time, I wasn't. I don't think I'll ever be. But how do I get closer to Thulani? I need to see what he does very well. I need to see his habits. I need to see what he does on the ball. I need to see why he's the best number 10 in the country, so that I can come a bit closer to
him.
You know, but also that helps improve the team. That's why I said the team there was like something else. We improved one another, and the quality at the training was scary. The training at Ajax was scary. With that young age, what you saw on the pitch was half of what you guys
see on the training.
Didn't see what midweek. You know, I remember there was one 11-11 we played. And Thulani played in the other team in the first half. It was 3-0. He had 3 assists. And then we swapped. They swapped Thulani. They swapped the 10s only. We swapped Thulani. He came to the other team. You know, they had to rest Brent Carlson. You know, we had him. He was top quality also. But obviously he was getting a bit older. So they managed him nicely. But it worked so well for us, you know. So he had to rest some of the training, and then Thulani went to the other team in the 10, and then I had to come into his team leading 3-0. And we're thinking, you know what?
It's done.
It's done. So, end of the game is 3-3. The Oak has assisted 3 in the other team now.
So he's got 6 assists in one game.
6 assists in one game, bro. And he's missed chances on top of that. Because he wasn't really good at finishing at that time. He was a creator. He liked creating a lot.
But tell me, what made him special? You saw him, you know, day in, day out. What made Thulani Serero so special? What did you see, Lebogang?
Look, there are guys who are born with it, and there's us who have to work hard. And you have to have that in your team. You have to accept that the best players need that kind of feeling around the team, that they are the best. You tell Thulani he's the best in the world, you will see that Thulani is the best in the world. And I think when I say that, I say it more in a way that this is the message you should be telling our players right now. Because what you saw last night is not a fluke. That's how good I thought Modiba would be when I met him at Aces. You can go ask him. You understand? I knew he was going to be one of the best left backs. And I told him personally, and I said, coming from left back, nobody advances with play like you. I've seen many, but not many are as smooth as you. And then boom, now, when there's inventing, who's the best inventor in the country? Modiba. You understand? I saw Tebza, played against Tebza at my prime, the season that I got player of the season. And I went to him and Mbule and I said, you two will probably be the best, one of the best midfielders in the country. And if there's a replacement for Jali and Manyisa combination, it has to be you two. Because it was scary. You know how good they were. And those kind of messages, even though it's not something you publicize, the guys get a good feeling when you say something like that to a guy. You know, for Tebza to be where he is, for me, it's because he's, of all the things he had to take from everyone, of how good he is, he now sees how good he is. They usually say, Grant usually says he's the man he thinks he is. Of course he is, you know? And I wish Tebza can now go now and see another step. Not that he's done at Sundowns, with all due respect, you know, he still makes Sundowns better, and they are not as good as they are with him or without him, you understand? But can we now get that space for somebody else at Downs so that we can progress SA football and now take Tebza to a higher level? Because his level is beyond this league, to be quite honest. You know, and the quality that you see from him, it's not him only, it's just an example, you know. But those levels are the levels that we need to tell our kids that this is how good we are. Yeah. This is how good South Africa is. What you saw yesterday, no matter the opponent, no matter what the opponent is going through, that's not our problem on the day. You understand? You understand? Everybody has their admin problems. But the game was there for the taking with an unbelievable crowd, like I said, you know, and they showed up. And this is the message you should be telling these kids, that come on, Mabena, you are good enough. Come on, Vetboy, you are good enough. You understand? You are. No matter the mistakes you make, you are good enough. And the more you say this, the less the mistakes will be. The confidence will be there. And trust me, show me a player that has the confidence of a South African nation that's never done well.
And tell me about that. Giving these players confidence, telling them how good they are. Now, how do you separate this young kid, constantly telling him how good he is, and also separating that with arrogance? How do you help him not to be arrogant, but to be confident in himself, Lebza?
I always say, as a footballer, you have to have the arrogancy. You have to be walking. You said when I walked in here, you said, "Oh, I didn't think you're this calm off the field." And I said, "No, I'm always relaxed." On the pitch, it's always, there has to be that feeling between you and your opponent that, you know what, when they see you, Karabo, they be like, "Damn, it's this guy again." You understand? That's where the arrogancy comes in. You understand? That's where you don't disrespect people. You don't go about telling people, "Look, I come Nandi, I can't trap." No, that is arrogance in a bad way. But if you are a player that wants the ball, and you are a Masongani that wants to carry Pirates, that's the arrogance we need in this country. True. You understand? You watch Temba's goal, the previous game against Nigeria. That is arrogance. He goes into the corner flag, he does his back flicks, does his flicks, and then he goes with 3 touches and he's making everybody
dropping the shoulder. And just
that is the arrogance I'm talking about. That's where you separate arrogance from. Temba will never tell you who the worst players in the country are. He probably doesn't think anybody's a worst player. He thinks and respects everybody as they are. But when Temba walks in, the other players know that now this is Mshishi. He has that aura. You understand that this is Temba. You understand that that's the arrogance we talk about in football. You don't have to say it. It's gotta be in you when you walk in that, you know what, this guy knows his story. You understand? And that's the arrogance. That's where you separate it. I used to say a lot about the late AKA, actually, you know. I used to not like him before I met him, because I thought, oh, this guy's full of himself. Whenever he speaks, it's always me. And then when I met the guy, I fully understood that this actually saying, I'm the best musician, like nobody can tell me. You understand?
The confidence
he has in his craft.
Yeah.
So when he's doing that at that moment, he looks like the most arrogant guy in the world. But when he's off it, that's where you see, like, oh, this guy actually is cool. He's actually, when he's doing his thing, it's like when you're playing football, you got to be showing that I'm better than everybody.
True.
You understand? But when you're off the field, now you're no longer a footballer. You become a person and you become normal like everybody else.
Lebza, I think I'm going to be interjecting your answers now because you too much giving credit to other players. But this is about you, Lebza. Let's get back to you. Ajax Cape Town, those challenges, how did you overcome them once again in regards to that, and also seeing that, you know, there were players who were better than you at that time? How did you now be part of the system at Ajax Cape Town?
Firstly, obviously, it was a good environment for youngsters. So we're all young, coming from different backgrounds. So we helped one another in terms of when you miss home. We became so close. And we had guys like Tyson who are born leaders. He was a captain at 19 already. You know, he has that aura of a captain. So he helps you a lot. Mido was so accommodating. You know, one of the best human beings I'll ever know in this world. You know, George Maluleka. He accommodated all of us. Yeah. You want to go to the mall, George's car. You want to do this, George's car, George will take you. You want to go to training, George will take you. After training, you don't know what to do, George is the one that has the PlayStation. We go to George's house to play PlayStation. He was that kind of guy, and that brought us together. Ntlantla Shabalala, he'll kill me if I don't mention him. The seniors in that team were top also. You know, Shaba was proper brother for us. protected us so much because, as youngsters, sometimes we get off.
True.
We got off the way a bit. He helped us a lot in that to teach us that, yes, make the mistakes, but learn. Also, you are allowed to make mistakes when you are young. You are allowed to have fun. You're a human being at the end of the day. But the unity in that team helped us to integrate so well into that team. And the setup was a young setup also. So when you got people that are familiar, it makes it a bit easier and a bit more fluent in terms of the relationships, So it was good because even when we had to go to the national teams, you'd find that national under 23
dominated by ex-players.
Not dominated, but you'll have like 6, 7, which is a good number to have people at camp,
Yeah.
And then you get Chiefs having maybe 8, Pirates having, then all together it becomes a solid team, you understand? So that's how it worked. That's how we survived there. But also there were difficult times, because if you don't have it, sometimes you find that George is in the national team, there's no car. You have to now go to training, walk to train, because it wasn't far, to be quite honest. But now, Cape Town weather. You have to walk in the rain sometimes. Sometimes we'd even change at home, jog to the field because it's raining, But we use those kind of things to say we know our struggles and we don't want to go back there.
True.
So we motivated each other in that way. That you remember the days when we were working in rainy days. Yeah, that is why we're not going to lose to Sundowns today, because we work in the rain and they drive in the rain. So today we can't, gentlemen.
True.
The stakes are high. You understand? It's either we come and compete, try to have cars to drive in the rain, or we continue working in the rain and losing to these guys every time. So those kind of things helped us to understand where we were and where we wanted to go, actually.
Yeah. Your first game at Ajax Cape Town, I'm certain a lot of emotions, a lot of nerves as well. Take me through that day of your debut for the special and huge club that was in Ajax Cape Town.
Worst game of my life.
Yeah.
Worst game of life. Yeah, worst game of my life. Simple reason being, not because I wasn't good enough, not because I couldn't play, but let me tell you who we were playing that day. It was Sundowns. In
so
front
you
of
made your debut against Sundowns.
I made my debut against Sundowns. And it might have not been the Sundowns that won the Kev, but Klompo was there. Nyandoro was there. These are guys that were at their prime that time, when 2010 after the World Cup.
Wow.
My idol, Teko, was there. So to play against Teko in my first game was scary, to be quite honest. I was like, wow. And I didn't meet him in person. So it was my first time meeting him because I was just a boy from LX.
Yes.
Coming out from LX, this is my first game. I want to give out to
Yeah.
But we were not having it.
Yeah.
It was just Teko going there. Teko. And I was just watching it. And I was like, another player that I learned a lot from by just watching. I can name a lot. If I tell you that I learned from Temba, you wouldn't believe me. But that's the kind of player I became. I became watching other players. And I sit and I watch Sbusiso Vilagazi, one of the best 10s in the country.
Yes.
I have to watch him when he plays to see what he does that I don't do. You understand? So that's more how I built Manyama to the footballer that he became, by just taking the composure of Mshishi, the sleekness of Villa, maybe the runs and the power of somebody else.
Just combining
all the things and saying, what, I didn't have the time to develop in all these academies, but now I'm here. Let me try now take all these things and try to now do. You see how much I post Kevin De Bruyne.
Yes.
I sit and watch YouTube videos of that oak each and every day. Even when it was prime Kaka, I used to watch. And my friends will tell you that I played so much like Kaka because I used to sit and watch the oak and be like, how can I? Because that's the only way you're going to improve, if you invest in all of this.
And your bad game, and not because you were bad, but purely because of the nerves. Now, who calms you down after the game to say, son, listen, it's not that you had a bad game, but simply because this is your first game in the highest of levels. You've never played in the NFD. We understand the nerves.
Ntantla Shabalala. I don't forget these words. He walks in and he says, welcome to the big boys. Mfana say Alex, ungawari, you will get better. And those were the words that he said. You get better. I don't forget, because I did get better. And when you remember these kind of things, that's when you realize that there are certain people that molded you to the person that you are, and it brings me great honor, to know that I learned from so many good people, So he's one of the Oaks also I respect so much in my career. He's helped me so much as a person. Not the football, because he's not a good footballer. But the one thing that he had was heart.
Yes.
And he had the mentality for the game. And that's why he's the president of the Players Union now,
Yes.
because he was that guy that always will touch the
Aggression
buttons you
as
don't
well.
like.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, to remind you also, or to just say something from back then, when we came the first day for my trial, there was a 1v1 session. Because Foppe liked that we take people on.
Foppe de Haan was the coach.
Foppe de Haan was the coach.
Wow.
He liked that. Not express yourself by obviously doing all the tricks that we love as South Africans, but actually progressing play. So he would put you in a 1v1 with the strongest defender. And I remember I was coming there first day, and they put me with Shaba. And even if you ask him, the first day, he always reminds me of this story. He says, this kid, he came in, I was the hardest Oak at training. They put me with Shaba, and we went in 1v1 for like 10 times.
Wow.
And I scored 6 times, but he hacked me. I was on the floor 10 times. I scored 6 times out of the 10, but every time I scored, he kicked the hell out of me. He kicked the hell out of me. I didn't understand.
But you didn't take it personal?
I couldn't. Cape Town, you know. Cape Town. That's why I say, like, some moments when you look back, you realize, that was a switch in mentality for me. That now I can take this guy kicking me all the time. And then you still have a Katsande in the same team. They will hack you, those Oaks, you know. And those kind of Oaks actually made me stronger. And when I grew up, then I grew more and more into the game. That's why I became more of a 10 than a winger. Because now, I wasn't now scared to be here in the mix where there's chaos.
Yes.
You know, the way there's chaos. And obviously with what I was teaching myself off the field in my spare time, in terms of spaces and movements, and even the guys that we played with, even the guys that I played with, I would watch Williard when he was at Chiefs. And when I was at any team, reason being because I know this is the guy I'm going to face. He knows how good I am. I need to be smarter than him on the day. You understand? And that's how I got but that's how I won most of my duels with a lot of players. That I knew how good they were and what they were good at and what they didn't like.
So you would practically study your opponents before playing them? Yeah,
I do that. I still watch games, and I still can tell where weak points can be. And I think that's where we're going. How I actually... Coach Eric actually thought of me when he thought of an assistant, him and the boss, you know. They were like, this Oak can actually speak the game without even playing it. He understands where to be and where certain situations have to happen, you know. I understood the game like that. Coach Mushin helped me a lot in that tactically, you know, to play the game tactically, because it's another topic to play football tactically. To play football in your position is something different.
True.
It's something different. Sundowns do it so well right now, but it took them a bit of time. And it's not as smooth. It will never be as smooth because it's difficult to play football in your position, to understand the tactical balance of a game, why you should be staying longer in certain positions instead of going to the ball, you know. But those kind of things, that's why I say it on your show, because I want the young boys to understand that the only way you get better, you cannot be a footballer and not watch football.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense for me. You have to be able to know that if you're not playing on weekends or you're playing on a Sunday afternoon and you're home Saturday, the EPL starts at 1 and finishes at 8. You have to be watching all of that if you're a footballer. You know? So I think we need to be sharing more of that message to footballers, that prioritize this thing and it will take you far.
Lebogang, very good in the duck and diving. But I'm now going to speak to you about a special moment in your life. The big lights of Johannesburg. Well, obviously, the first one was SuperSport United. But I want to move. I think we'll probably come back. Let's move to the Pefeni Klemo boys, one of the biggest clubs in the land. I see you chuckle, you smile. Tell me about that move. How exactly did that move come about? Where were you? How did you know about it? And what did it say or mean to you?
Firstly, it was a dream come true. A huge honor to play for Kaizer Chiefs. Look, I can't put it into words, you know. It didn't end as well as I would have liked, to be quite honest, you know. But how it came about was Chiefs wanted me when I was at SuperSport. No, not SuperSport, Ajax. Before I went to SuperSport. So we had the conversation then. But I had already had the signed, not the contract, but the agreement to say that when my contract ends, I will sign for SuperSport, you know. So there was something there which I couldn't now go above because legally it's not allowed. I was going to be in a lot of trouble. And Papi Zotwani had just had his troubles with Chiefs and Sundowns.
Yes.
It was just after the World Cup. So it was just around about that time, 2012. So I thought, I don't want this because this means I might have to sit a year without playing. You know, so as much as I wanted to sign for Chiefs, when I signed for SuperSport, it was just impossible, you know. So I know a lot of people took heart into that. But fast forward to when I went to Chiefs now 5 years later, it was obviously when I was at Turkey, I wasn't really in a good place. Turkey was very difficult for me, but very insightful also.
Yes.
You know?
When you say difficult, in what sense?
The culture, the weather is obviously a challenge, you know? And I think the biggest flaw, I will say, and I'll be honest with, and I hope people, like teams, take this to note. I went there 26. I was too late. I was too late.
Yeah.
I felt if I had gone there when I was 21, 20, I would have succeeded than when I was 26. The reason being is I was a 26-year-old who was competing with an 18-year-old. Now in Europe, that battle is quite simple. It's not like in South Africa, where the 18-year-old won't play. They are thinking not that season. They are thinking 10 years' time. Who are we going to have between the two? 18-year-old, my brother. You understand? That's what the biggest thing I took from them. I was like, very insightful and very, very right in terms of how they dealt with me. You understand? Because for me, I wasn't coming in to develop. I'm supposed to come in and bang in the goals like I was banging in at City. It was impossible, Karabo, to be quite honest. Not impossible because of my ability, but
difficult.
Difficult to do. Difficult to be now go there and be. Another thing is you're now there with the number 10 jersey also, you know. Not that it was.
So there's a lot of expectations.
There is, because
this guy's got a lot of goals.
He's got a lot of goals. He's the best player in his country. He has to come in firing. You understand? But am I ready to fire there? I wasn't. To be quite honest, because I felt like I needed time, but I wasn't a player that was brought for time. The guy who was brought for time is the 18-year-old that I was competing with. You understand? And he ended up, he ends up now being one of the best players in Bosnia, actually. He starts for the national team now, because I checked him out afterwards to see, okay, if this oak I was competing with and they were saying he wasn't that
ready
good,
at the time.
Yeah, let me see him now in a few years. And he was actually the player that they thought he was, but because of the development, you know. But yeah, fast forward into that, decided to terminate in Turkey. There was an option to stay in Turkey, but I hadn't played in a year, Karabo. And for me, there's nothing that comes second to football, because at the end of the day, when I started playing football in Ajax as a 5-year-old, it wasn't for the contract. It was for the love of the game. And
passion as well.
And when I left Turkey, the passion came first. I saw the money. I would have maybe been a bit richer right now. You understand?
But you're okay, you know? You're okay.
But I'm alive. If you're alive, you have a chance. You have a chance tomorrow. If you're alive, you have a chance to make a difference in your life. I always say that. There's always a chance, especially in our country. So when I went to tell them that I don't want to come, Bobby called me and asked me where I was. And I was like, I'm actually in Joburg. He said, what are you doing? He said, I said, I'm waiting for my clearance from Turkey. He said, when is it coming? And I said, it's coming on Friday. And then he said, oh, okay, no problem then. Meet me tomorrow at Naturena at 10. You'll see the guys training. We will welcome you. I haven't signed.
Wow.
Yeah, this is Bob's take, my friend. When he does it proper.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
When he wants you, he wants you.
Yeah.
You understand? There's no other conversations, and you feel wanted also. You understand?
When he calls you, you are in Joburg. What day of the week is it? Because you went to Naturena on Friday at 10, I suppose.
I went to Naturena on a Wednesday. Okay, I was getting my clearance on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went on a Wednesday.
On Monday.
He calls me on the Tuesday.
Okay.
He says, Kausani, okay, if you're getting your clearance Friday, because I got.
Yes.
You know what was going to happen at that time. You understand? I still had the option to go to Sundowns. You know, Pirates were
Sundowns also wanted you.
Yeah, Sundowns. Peter has always thought of me. We always had the conversation, but it never really happened, you know. For a lot of reasons also, but basically it was more of the footballing side for me.
Yes.
Not because of fear, but why would me and Temba be competing for the player of the season as 10s in this country, and then we are in one team?
Doesn't make sense.
What good does it do for people that have to pay and watch football, firstly. So there needs to be a good game between me and Temba as opponents, like there is now with him and Tito. You need those kind of things. You need somebody else to come from Chiefs, somebody else to come from Supersport, from Cape Town City. But every team needs to have that kind of player.
Yeah.
Because if me and Temba are there as 210s at Sundowns, with all due respect, because they have the financial power, but it doesn't really do good for South African football because one has to sit on the bench.
True.
Between the two of us.
Yeah.
That means now one can't go to the national team because there's no game time for him. You understand?
Yes.
So we lose a quality player, where else I can go to Chiefs and be the 10 at Chiefs and try to challenge. And then there's 210s doing well in the country.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's how I thought when it came to Sundowns. It wasn't, the money was always good, but I thought of it as, am I going to get as much as I want to play? Because I want to play to prove my worth also.
True.
You understand? Not just to play because I play for Sundowns or because I play for Chiefs. No, I wanted to be a Chiefs to be not the main man, but to be a difference maker. Yeah, to be a difference maker. I wanna play. That's why I left Turkey. I wanna play and be comfortable and be happy at a place. You know, so that's how I ended up. Then I go to Naturena on the Wednesday. Kikena Keperi Puma. I don't know the rules. Kikena Keperi Puma because I was endorsed by Puma. You know, they also helped me a lot in my career. You know, because I was with Tsepo and Lefa for quite a long time. You know, so they're more brothers like me. For me. In many ways, you know. So we went there on a Wednesday, and when we got there, it was a matter of how many years. Look, when Bobby called, to be quite honest, I had already, even if he had made it look like I had signed, even in my heart, it was like,
you've signed.
Now this is where I want to go. You understand? Now it's the time. Let me go now, revive now. All the spark that I had a year ago with Cape Town City, you know. But obviously that doesn't come also easy when I got there because there's challenges when I get there, and obviously I'm coming into a club that's so much under pressure with the trophy.
Yeah, they haven't won in a long time. Yes.
And it's obviously a big team with big expectations. And I managed.
Take me through the contract, the duration of it, and the money. Were you happy with it? There was no changes or just here and there.
Look, everybody can say Chiefs doesn't buy players. Yeah, Chiefs doesn't buy players, but they pay players very well. On an individual to individual, they will give you your money's worth. What you're worth, every player gets what they're worth at Chiefs. Chiefs will pay players proper.
So you were extremely happy?
Not extremely. You can never be happy. I feel like when you get too happy, you get too comfortable.
True.
But yeah, they managed to come to a point. Obviously, it wasn't going to be taking money.
Yeah,
you know, that's euro, pound, or whatever. That's different.
And that's a week, I think. Wages.
I don't like talking about the money a lot because it doesn't mean a lot to me.
But it was weekly, though. It was
it's story for another day. But
you're one of the honest guys. Are you also trying to motivate these young boys who, you know?
Nah, look, you see it in Europe. It's the truth. When they say wages is weekly.
Okay.
So wages that says.
So you're also in week. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, if they said wages, then it means you should know the meaning of wages. Then it should tell you that it was weekly.
True.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously we agree on to that. I felt like Bobby valued me at what I actually thought, and it was a bit more actually than what I expected. You understand? So that the first moment I felt at home when I got there, a dream come true for me. For Chiefs, you know, that's why even now I watch Chiefs. I'm a huge supporter of Chiefs. I'm not too well when they lose, to be quite honest. Even though I'm at Cape Town City, obviously, you know, and what Cape Town City has done for me also, you know, it's
second to none.
Yeah, it is bigger than what I've probably done at Chiefs, you know. But for me, Chiefs was a dream that I had to live. And I'm so grateful for, because once you get there, you realize that, to be quite honest, Karabo, you're at the best institute in the country.
Lebu, I want us to really expand this conversation, you and Kaizer Chiefs, or your experiences there. I've heard a lot of players. I've got, you know, mostly I'm doing the DDC, but a lot of players at Chiefs, they tell me about the differences. You were inside. Take me through, maybe just list by list, as to what exactly makes difference. You know, Chiefs so different, so world class in your eyes.
Actually, I just thought of something that I think many people wouldn't really take seriously. Chiefs has 5 doctors. Let me tell you these doctors. There's Dr. Budanya, one of the best in the South. There's Dr. Mampani, the Springboks World Cup doctor.
Wow.
Twice. He was the main doctor. The black guy you see running around World Cup, Gadi Beke, he's a Kaizer Chiefs doctor. Employed by the team. So those are levels already. There's Dr. Hesh. He's the chief of South African cricket, the health side. He's like the Dr. Thulani of
cricket. The highest level.
Yeah. So those are the levels you need to understand. So I'll just mention that if you have those kind of doctors in your setup, then it should tell you that this institute is very, very serious.
What more? This is exciting. What more did you?
No, it's the little things, man, that you see in Europe that we had in Europe that I came to Nature and realized, wow, you have your gyms there, you have your sauna, you have your pools, you have your ice bath in the Nature. You have I don't know how many soccer fields. You have a beach sanded place where you train if you want to do strengthening, if you want to do where you recover an injury. Wow. You understand? So those little things, like you might take them lightly, Karabo, but they make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
You eat there, your nutrition there's the national team analyst, he was the analyst at Chiefs at that time. Mark was one of the best analysts in the country. He's there. Vaughan is there. So the levels there are, everybody works at Naturena. That's like a workplace, Karabo. This is a soccer team run. It's also corporate. So you need to understand how big this place is, how big this team is. And I think every little thing to be the best in the country, to be quite honest.
What does that do to you that you've been in Europe? It looks like you are in yet another Europe, in Africa, at Naturena. What does that do to you mentally in regard to saying, you know what, I want to perform for this club. I want to produce the best performances I've ever done for this club in regards to the setup that they have here?
I felt like it should have done to more players what it did to some of us, or what it meant to some of us to be there. You understand? I just felt, and it's all with respect to a lot of players that I played with, top players, but I just don't think we all wanted to do it for Chiefs as much as the other guy did.
True.
I don't think we did the effort of Willard Gatsande, Bernard Parker on a daily. There wasn't many that put that on a daily basis, and that will take you down a bit, because to play with Kama, you need to be at a certain level, my friend, because Kama is smart. He's a quick thinker. You need to be on par with what Kama is doing if you're playing behind him. You understand? So if you now gonna put Kama and then behind him the distance is a bit there, Karabo, then it becomes difficult even for Kama to show his quality. He will show in moments because he is a top player, and top players have individual moments, brilliance that they will show. But you can see when times are tough and when we're playing much more difficult games where you need now your Manyamas, your Dollies, your Mshidnis, your
Kamas as well, yes.
Coming to the party to say now, this quality now bonds together and takes now the level. Instead of now Kama having to drop to a certain level, so we're all now going to him.
Lebu, tell me, so you are saying to me that there are certain players that cannot play with other players because the quality is just far and wide. There's a lot of difference, and this player now struggles. He's yourself, for example, you a 10 in regards to rating. Kama is a 10, but I'm not going to mention names. This player is at a 3. It compromises your game because the quality is not the same as yours.
Yeah, it wasn't a matter of actually, the most difficult part was in quality. I felt the most difficult part there was the mentality. I felt at certain moments people didn't see beyond Chiefs. Like I've signed for the team, I've arrived, Kishap, I don't now need to perform. Whereas there's some of us who think in a different way, Karabo. Like for me, once you hear that Manyama has signed a new 4-year contract, for me, this contract is to reward the past 4 years, the work that I did. Going there, I haven't done focal to merit the next contract.
True.
I have now worked now in front of me to see that I have to work for the next contract. This 4 years has now secured my next 4 years. But after that, then what? You understand? That's why you will see players coming in. You saw a lot of them coming in, Happy Mashiani and them signing, coming in with all the hunger, all the energy, wanting to be there. Mm-hmm. And then there comes a time where they renew contracts. Now they go into these 4 years, 5 years, some get better salaries. True. And then when it gets there, There's cars, there's a person buying a house. Then when it gets there, you're like, now the performances change. And then you're like, okay, he's bought an iPhone 7. Is he not thinking now of iPhone 15? Maybe? How do we get to iPhone 15? I'm thinking, okay, but what you saw a lot was we stay at iPhone 7, K sharp.
But the mentality, label, how do you change the mentality? Or is it a case of this is not your responsibility? How do you change the mentality of the other guys to say, guys, you've played well for the past 4 years, you've secured your own contract for the past 4 years, now change that mentality, change for example, there's now a Golf 8, change for a Golf 9 GTI, change for a better place for you to live. How do you, having that mentality, change it or instill it into the other guys in the team?
Look, when you get into a team with a lot of youngsters that we ended up having achieves, which was a very good thing from Coach Ernst. Coach Ernst is the one that introduced a lot of these boys, your Blooms, your Happy Mashiani, your Shini,
yes,
your Bibos, even Mdu, who used to come
yes.
at like 15. We could already tell this kid is gonna
quality
blow us away very soon. You understand? He used to come train with us. Some girls one used to come. There's a lot of them, they used to come. And what they had at that time, and I felt is important, and I feel at Sundowns is the biggest thing why Sundowns is very good, is they came into a team where they had role models. Mm-hmm. You understand? When they came into a team, they were like, oh, Billiard, what a player. You understand? And then when you see how good Billiard is, you get motivated easily, to say, oh, these are the levels here. I want to be like a Billiard, or even better. You understand? But now if after 1 year, you take all these role models out of this situation and you leave these kids alone, and then you bring in another group of seniors, but to be a senior is not going from somewhere to somewhere. You build this in this certain team. And I felt when we got there, your Parkers, your Kunes, your Katsandes, they had that. Mm-hmm. And once that was lost a bit, I felt that where I felt, and I had a feeling that when these guys now left, never mind me, for me, my club is Cape Town City, to be quite honest.
True.
I'm half of what I am today because of that club, even if it was for 1 year, you understand? But I felt like when these guys left, because these guys know the culture, to be quite honest. They've won with Chiefs. They know how to win with Chiefs. They know what it is to win with Chiefs, how it feels to win with Chiefs. And when these guys went out, I felt it's going to be a problem now, because here you are in a team where there isn't even one player that's got 5 years in the team of playing consistently. Whereas before that, you had Shaba that had played, I don't know how many years.
Yes.
So, every season.
Well. Yeah. There's year as well.
I'm told there's there's Itu. These guys have played for this team for a lot of years and they've won.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they haven't won in these years, but they know what it takes to get there.
And what it means to win.
And also, you must remember, Mshini getting into a team at Chiefs would mean that he was there 5 years into the drought. That means 5 years ago when Chiefs won that cup, Mshini was a little boy at Chiefs watching all these guys. These guys were all role models. He knew he had to work hard. But now once all this group went out, you now look up and you're like, who do I look up to? Who's the example here? That's why I bring in Sundowns a bit, and I'm like, the standard at Sundowns is simple. It's even at Pirates it happened a bit with Rile and Loch.
Yes.
With Mabena and Mshishi. You understand?
Yes.
There's a go-to guy.
Passing the baton to the next.
Easily. You understand? Not to say to this kid, you are better than Mshishi.
Learn from him.
Learn from him. You understand? The performances, you want to play in this team?
That's the standard.
Look at Temba, my friend. It's either that or you continue at DDC. But once if you lose that, now who do they look up to?
It's 3 minutes after 2 o'clock. I think we're going to have a part 2, but I'm just going to fast forward this to possibly one of the saddest days in your life. That Instagram post, I also sent you a message trying to your career ended in one of the most painful ways. Misdiagnosis as well. Word for word, I also read it again this morning.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of disappointment as well, Lebu. And as I'm speaking to you now, there's also a lot of emotions because one might say, a career robbed at such a young age. I think you retired at the age of 32, Lebogang. What? Can you just explain what exactly happened for you to retire at such a young age? And some players peak or start peaking at 32, like you were also starting to show the arrogance, the confidence as well?
Look, I mean, that day is I can never come out of my head, because that's the day I stopped doing the one thing that I've known my whole life. You understand? And when you stop that, there's no way that moment doesn't stick with you, because now it brings back everything that you've done, you know. So the tears that you saw, or the tears maybe that you see now, it's not because I'm sad or pained. It's because I had fun, man. Like, it was fun. It was amazing, you know. Playing was amazing for me. When I see a full stadium right now, that's what I tell the guys. I'm like, this is what you play this game for. I wish I could be playing. I wish I was in the national team last night. You understand? Because that's what you play football for. But for me, it's more remembering all the things I did, all the friendships I made, all the bad days, all the mistakes I also made. You know, I wasn't quite the top professional that I was supposed to be, honestly. You know, but I learned through that to become a better man right now. You know, if I hadn't gone through some things, I don't think I would have made it to even be the footballer of the season. I had to go through certain stuff to get to that level, to finally realize that this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Because without the mistakes, I wouldn't have been there. You know, so I take a lot of positiveness from that, and the tears that you see is just me remembering all those moments. Because when I play them in the head, I'm just so grateful that I was such a good footballer. Because that's such a special blessing. I always tell the boys, I'm like, you must understand that to know how to play football is one of the greatest gifts in the world, because that's the one sport that can have, I don't know how many billions we have in the world, but they can all sit and watch you play football. Wow. It should be an honor. And that was the one thing that I missed a lot. And that is the one thing that you will say saddens me, that it had to end at 32. I felt I owed Cape Town City a couple of more years, to be quite honest, because that was my route, was that from Chiefs, I'm going to go back to Cape Town City to try give back to also what they did for my career, what the boss, Mr. Committees, and his family have done for me, because they took me at Ajax, actually, but people obviously forget in football. True. So they were the ones that took me to Turkey. So they've done also a lot in who I am. And that's why me being back there is to give back and try to be successful with them. And like you said, see in the future if I can take that step. But I'm quite content with the stress levels there. I think Coach Tinta handles very well, much better than me for now. So I'm quite good working under him, learning a lot from him. I was his captain, so it's a smooth transition. But yeah, I mean, retiring Karabo, that day I'll never forget. It'll sit with me forever, because I think I made the most difficult decision in my life, you know. But yeah, it's life. Like I always said to you, like I said before this, I said, if you're alive, you got another chance, buddy. There's so much to this life that we can do to try help the next generation. But the next generation also means my kids. So I need to do the work now, so that when I'm not here, they have stuff to go to. If my kid wants to play football, he's got to have a field in Alex. Those are the things I'm more focused on right now, you know. It's pointless for me to take my kids all over the world, but when he goes to Alex to visit my family, there's no soccer pitch. Makes no sense to me, you know. So that's why I'm back at it, to try see if I can also contribute a little bit and give back also to everybody that's shown me so much love, you know. They always say you never know how good you were until it's cut off time, like now.
You speak about kids. You've got a kid now, a young boy.
The biggest blessing in my life, my friend, I can tell you. You know, I look at him and I think without him, I'd probably be lost right now. You know, he gave another meaning to life. It was another thing that happened at a worst time, but at the right time, to be quite honest. You know, my child being born felt like a chance to now restart the Lebogang Manyama brand, but differently, not as a player, you know. Obviously, I'll never forget what I did. I'll never disrespect that. I'll never take away what people saw in me. And I'll never take away the responsibility of having to give all that back, or try at least to give that back to the kids of not only in Alex, but South Africa as a whole, you know. But obviously, my boy now becomes my life, you know, after football, you know, because football was my life when I was still playing. But now my boy just came in and he became just that that psychological medication or whatever they call it in doctors' language.
Yeah.
He became that for me. He became that. Obviously, I cannot say this without mentioning my girlfriend also, who's held it down for me, holds it down for us right now. It's not easy. They still here. I'm in Cape Town, but we're holding it very well together. And it was just an opportunity for me to say, you know what, here's a new life. Let's get into this parenthood. It's not easy, but I'm loving it. You know, my boy he's working now, and exactly what I said when I retired, that I would like to kick a ball with him. He's already 1 year, 2 months, and he's kicking the ball around the house now. So I have to chase around him. So imagine if I had continued to play, and then had to have a knee replacement where I couldn't even walk or run. Then my kid misses the opportunity to play with his dad, because when he grows up, he's gonna know who I was. But
Obviously.
These moments, the little ones now, that when he's playing, these are the ones I want to capture, you know, so that one day if he plays football, God willing, you can also have a story like the Brazilians always do. They see
From a young age
that Neymar will be Neymar. You know, I also want to have that chance to have that moment with him and archive some of that moment so that in future I can say, you know, but also as proof to say, hey, Baba was there. Baba, when you make it, mustn't forget me.
Well, that's where we are going to be ending it for now. Hopefully, we are. I think we'll also have to make another appointment with Lebogang, Manyama, but Lebo, from myself, the entire listeners, the entire team here, we appreciate you. We thank you. You've done absolutely brilliantly well. I think on Sunday or Saturday as well, you were doing fantastic work for the people of Alexandra, just giving back as well. We love you. We appreciate your work. And just remember that wherever you are, if there's anything that you think we can help you in regards to taking out your voice more on Bogut Radio, we are here for you. I myself, you know, I've done a lot with you off the page as well in regards to, you know, knowing you a couple of years ago. But thank you. May God bless you. God bless your journey. And continue, giving us the new youngsters. I know, well, I've heard that Heaven Sirete, there's something that you did there. I'm being told there's another young superstar from Tula Mahashi as well. You brought him to Cape Town City. Lebu, we love you. We appreciate you. May God bless your journey. May God bless your family as well, your partner as well. God bless you.
Karabo, I cannot thank you enough, man. You always been in my corner. Obviously, even in times when you had to criticize, we haven't had that kind of conversation because I would be throwing you away, you know. But I noticed your words even in times where you were critical and you were right, and that also improves me, you know. But you were critical in the right way, and I think that's why you are where you are in your career, and that's why you're gonna be even more successful in this career, you know. But yeah, like you said, this is what we do, you know. I hope the opportunity that you've been given now, you also take it upon yourself to do, like you mentioned, the Heaven Series is. I hope you also take and have another Karabo doing what you're doing, because there's passion everywhere, buddy, and there's always somebody looking behind you to say, can you help me take that next step, you know? It's not a guarantee that you'll take them there, but you can always try, you know, and I think that's what I'm trying to do right now, to give hope, but also to show that, you know, a South African kid can go and play in these world leagues, in this world tournaments. We are good enough, and let that be the spirit, you know. I was talking to one of the boys that I trained yesterday, and I said to him, you know, every time if I say I want to do this on Saturday, the first question that comes out of, and it's not a racial thing, but obviously because I live more in the black community, it's always, what if it doesn't work? Can we turn that to what if it works? What if it works? And if people start thinking like that when they do stuff, a lot of more things will work. It's not a guarantee, but you'll be more closer to realizing what you want because you are thinking positive in terms of doing it. But if you start doing it and say, what if it doesn't work? You're already at a loss because you're already doubting what you have to do.
Absolutely.
You know, but for me, it's what if it works? Because I know my capabilities and I know I'm going to give it my all. And I know, and I've seen before that when I give it my all, the results have been there. So I'll keep on grinding. And I hope you guys continue with the good setup you have. Thanks for having me. I'm going to rush back to another interview because there's, like I said, many of you guys that I've grew up seeing in this platform. That a friend of mine has another radio station, and I'm going to grace them because I've owed them like I've owed you. And I hope it helps you guys also in terms of your profiling, and we can just all push one another, you know, in terms of what we want to do for the country first and foremost. So thank you very much once again for having me. And we'll speak soon. We might not have more time even then because there's so much to talk about. But yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Well spoken. Very well spoken. Formerly of Kaizer Chiefs, Cape Town City, intake as well. Bafana International, doing amazing things out in Alexandra. Comes from a training session, runs to the first interview, he's got another. And later on, he's a dad. He's a family man. Well, this man, what an absolute pleasure it is to have spoken to Lebogang, Kaka, Manyama. And hopefully we can have another interview in the next couple of weeks or months, just before the season starts. That is Lebogang, Manyama. That's where we ended for today.
Let's have it when the season ends.
When the season ends.
Yeah. I'll hold on to that part.
Yeah.
We'll have something to talk about.
It's coming. You heard it here first. Lebogang, Manyama.